Okay, Canada has maybe 20 refineries, while the U.S. has over 120. It would take them 100 years to even come close to the refining capabilities that we are at now. Crude oil is pretty much useless. A country with 40 million people doesn't need the refining capacity of a country with 340 million people. Yeah, they don't need the refining capacity we have. Now, as far as their refining capacity situation, they're not any worse off than the United States. They're not any worse off than the United States. And that's, one thing that has come about through all this tariff talk and people arguing and fighting over tariffs. It drives me crazy. What always happens is people pick a side in these political arguments, and then from their sides, and I'm not saying this person is doing it, I'm not saying that at all, but from their sides, they blurt out tons of misinformation. And the whole public, United States and Canada are both woefully misinformed now because of this tariff deal. Canadians don't understand how oil and gas works and the trade with the U.S., and Americans don't have a good understanding of how it works. And it's because all of this misinformation is born because Donald Trump wants to put tariffs on Canada. Canada has nearly 1.8 million barrels a day of refining capacity, and they consume a little over 2 million barrels a day of oil. They consume about 1/10 of the oil that we do. And so their refining capacity is right there close to their consumption. They could literally add one refinery and they could refine everything they need for their own consumption, 1,000%. We need to add a couple of million barrels a day of refining capacity. That's what we need to add in the United States. Canada needs to add, just to be on the safe side, 400,000. So they're not, any worse off than we are when it comes to refining capacity. And I've heard so much talk about Canada's lack of refining, and they do have a lack of refining, but that's for one particular thing, and that's bitumen. They can refine oil like crazy. It's the bitumen that they have to send to us. And they really don't have to send it to us because they really don't need it. They can use their other types of oil. And, keep in mind when, oil and gas operators in Canada sell whatever they are selling to the United States, whether it's, bitumen or whatever, a lot of the times they're selling it to themselves because they own a huge piece of the refineries in the United States where that stuff is going. So they're literally selling it to themselves. And then when it gets sent back to them up Line 9 to the East Coast, they're buying it back from themselves. So this whole U.S. versus Canada thing is kind of ridiculous, because the truth is the people that own these businesses are producing it, selling it to themselves in the United States, buying it back from themselves from the United States back into Canada. It's all the same people. It's not like the two countries are opposed. These are a bunch of billionaires that are buying and selling their own products between their own companies so they can realize the greatest tax benefits. Period. That's all this is. Also, while Americans and Canadians are arguing about who benefits who the most, and, we give you this and you depend on us, and, has nothing to do with any of that. This is literally the same small group of people making all of the money off all of this energy trade between Canada and the United States. It's not an us versus them. It's billionaires swapping money. It has nothing to do with us versus them. It has to do with very rich and powerful people that have figured out the most efficient, streamlined ways to just magnify their billions of dollars of net worth that they have. That is all this is. Yeah, thanks.